So get this. Continuing the coverage of the DNC and how horrible it is, there was actually something really kind of exciting at this moment. Brought to you by Chris Cuomo. And if you know about Chris Cuomo, he's the guy I feel like discovers the truth very, very late in life. Like he's kind of like if your mother finally discovered the internet in 2024 and be like, oh my God, I just got this thing called email. And it's just so great. Like, I feel like he's one of those people. I feel like he's finally recognizing things that all of us knew from the start. He's tried to deny it for so long, and yet finally comes to terms with it. Because he covered the DNC with Newsnation. He got the press credentials and that. And he made this statement on the air on national television about the DNC and also the RNC here. So he tweets out, which I didn't even, this is even more hilarious, is that Christopher C. Cuomo, his initials are CCC. I didn't even know that. I did not know that. He's a triple C. He's the triple C. Wow. Um, so he says there's a reality of the DNC that is the same as the RNC, and what makes these parties the same should worry you the most and must change. So let's see the moment where Chris Cuomo realizes the obvious truth that most regular people, even the people that aren't even political junkies or news junkies like myself, already know about this.
A big theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging, and they're going to go after corporations, whether it's in taxes, largesse, loopholes. The RNC, we heard the same thing. They're going after the elites, the two sets of rules. Let me reveal a reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay? These are the soldiers.
I find it hilarious when those news anchors do that moment. It's like, let me give you a piece of reality. I find it so hilarious when they do that. Like the millionaire anchors are like, let me give you the scoop. Let me give you the 411. Is this going to be like a Joe Scarborough moment where he's going to be like, okay, get the cameras ready, get rolling, because what I'm about to tell you is exactly how it is, and F you if you can't handle it. Oh, God. Is Chris Cuomo going to say Biden's the best Biden ever? Is he going to go to that stupidity? Well, let's find out.
These are the men and the women that go back to their constituencies and their communities, and they fight. They take time from their jobs. They take time from their families. Republicans and Democrats alike. That's what they do. They need to charge these people up. They need to be able to get them on board. But there's another reality that is literally looking down on them. Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those suites start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes? Some of them are lobbies and good things. The media, they're free.
He was on a roll until maybe that's like the gift that he's giving to News Nation, because obviously if he says too much of this, he's going to get, out. I mean, obviously there's some lobbies and good things up there. After you just said that money is controlling the parties, the uniparty, that they are the overheads that are looking down on us and making all the decisions. Oh, there's some goodness out of it. There's some good out of the lobbies. What? That's his saving grace to keep him on the air. Is that, oh, there's some good lobbies, What were the good lobbies compared to the bad ones? God's sakes.
Why do you think I'm on the floor? Newsnation is not a broke company. Nexstar is a massive organization. We are corporate media. We don't have one of those boxes because that's the game. Pay to play. Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate. They are them pay their share. They paid 500, 700, a million, $1.5 million.
Now, does this sound like a person that's reporting on the dark money? Or is this Chris Cuomo conflated on the fact that he's jealous that he's not up on that pedestal? Because it sounds like to me, it's almost like a form of jealousy where he says, like, well, Newsnation is part of Nexstar. Nexstar is a big, giant corporation. We're corporate media. And yet these guys are up front. These guys are at the top of the tower right now. They have their own little booths there. We don't have a booth. So maybe this is just Chris Cuomo being jealous of the whole thing. Maybe this, maybe not, Chris Cuomo actually stating the obvious that the reason the Uniparty doesn't work for America is because it's been brought to you by the donor class that does not have anything to do with middle class issues. They want to eviscerate pretty much the middle class, turn us into, the dark ages of the lords and the peasants. So him trying to just stain the obvious in 2024 at the Democratic National Convention for Newsnation, I don't think this is actually him just report. I feel like this is just a jealousy moment. Maybe he's just jealous of the fact that Newsnation doesn't have the potential to have their own booth. Like, oh my God, can you imagine? I'd be next to CNN, my former bosses. And let's not forget, Chris Cuomo is a corporate stooge of propaganda. Like, notice that he doesn't mention in his rhetoric, maybe further on, let's see, but I doubt he's going to mention about the fact that when he was on CNN, he had to lie to his audience about ivermectin. I don't think he's going to mention that. I don't think he's going to mention about big pharmaceuticals and how they control the media. I don't think he's going to mention that, or the war machine, or how his brother got daytime Emmys for the lies and the disaster of him trying to control New York City during the pandemic. Like, that's going to get mentioned. But let's see the rest of this.
They get hotel suites that are probably gifted to the party. And the same thing is true with the Republican side. And they're going to take them down. They're going to change how it is. They are looking down from on high at the people who make the difference in their communities. And that is the reality of politics. And I had my producer walk around and show you those suites. Now, they're not all the same. They're not all the same. But the reality is, in 2000, they spent $300 million on presidential campaigns. 24 years later, you know what they're expected to send?
So, yeah, I feel like this is just a form of jealousy that he's even bringing this to attention. But, I mean, I guess I gotta give credit to the fact that finally a national cable channel is at least discussing this. Because if you tell people this, if you tell this obvious statement that we don't live in a democracy, we live in an oligarchy, corporate power, takes over and dominates over all. It's a play to pay system. We're not defending democracy. Your democracy was taken years ago. You tell that to CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CBS, ABC. You tell any of them that, they just laugh in your face. They say, "Oh, how dare you be a conspiracy theorist? What do you think that there's a group of people that control the world? Are you one of those Alex Jones people?" Like, they tried to deny that and laugh in your face about that. I give credit to Chris Cuomo, as much of a corporate stooge as he is, even bothering to mention about this, even barely having this discussion on, yes, there is corporate money being flooded into this convention, into the political parties. That is why the Uniparty, no matter who you vote for, doesn't ultimately matter. And obviously Chris Cuomo is not going to dive deeply into that issue as I am, because let's not forget, Chris Cuomo, his entire family is part of a political dynasty. The only reason he's on television is because his brother became governor of New York. His father got into politics. They're surround themselves in a political dynasty for many years. Like they're part of a political mafia. And the only reason that Chris Cuomo even bothers to be on television is because his corrupt family got him into it. They bribed the news networks to get this guy. He really is like the Fredo of the Corleone family. And I feel like this is just more of a jealousy in the fact that, he even said he's put his producers to spy on them. Like, I have my producers walking around like a lost puppy dog and giving them the cute little eyes. Can I please go into your booth? Like, they look so nice. Like, maybe this is the ultimate result of just him being jealous, and now he's blurting all this out. Like, oh, why can't I be up there? Well, if I can't be up there, I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to call them out. I think there's more to this.
10 billion. Do you know how much money Harris has raised in the last couple of weeks? Hundreds of millions, and that's success. A lot of it's small donor, a lot of it isn't. The most dangerous money in politics is now legal money to go to Citizens United. You've got to know this. The idea that they can fight against it is almost laughable. It's almost laughable. So look.
No, the laughable part about this, Chris, is that we know about this and we told you about this. You're the journalist, and then you laughed at our face. That's the laughable part about this. You're a journalist. You had all the money, all the resources, all the expertise to warn people about this back in the day, back when Citizens United took over the Democratic establishment, back when Barack Obama got his entire cabinet hand selected by Citigroup in an email. You had every opportunity to do this, Chris Cuomo, every opportunity to do so, and you didn't until this moment. And now you're trying to make this like the ultimate, sit down. I'm going to tell you something that everyone already knows except for me, and it's just shocking.
Look and listen when you are told these things. Because I don't care what they promise you. Not here tonight, not at the RNC, not that Trump knows them, not that they don't own them. He did one of the biggest fundraisers I've ever heard of in my life out where I live. Millions of dollars a plate. That's the reality of politics.
Way to go, Chris Cuomo. Stating the obvious at the last resort. And of course, that doesn't lead into him ever revealing that he was bought to by big pharmaceuticals, which is why he lied about ivermectin, which is why he lied about COVID, which is why when he got roasted by Dave Smith at Patrick Bet-David's podcast event there, how embarrassing it was, or how embarrassing it was getting roasted by Candace Owens about how Chris Cuomo thinks that Russia is this ultimate, terrorist organization, and how Vladimir Putin is such an evil dictator. And Candace Owens told him about how this war was initiated by the CIA, by us, by the intelligence communities, by the West. Because ever since the Cold War, and it has been documented, it has been written down, and people know about this, ever since the end of the Cold War, the West has always wanted to go to war again with Russia. They will never, ever stop trying to take on an ultimate superpower, because these are money-hungry psychopaths that will destroy the entirety of humanity for themselves. They don't understand how operations work. They don't understand any of that. They're completely clueless of this because they are completely dead out of understanding what's happening, the reality in front of them. They're so stuck in their own world, in their own psychopathic mindset, that they will just buy politics. They will force people to get into war. They will force people to do this, and it will be a disaster for the rest of humanity. And it's going to be a disaster for them. They just don't even know it, because they're just so diluted into the propaganda, the brainwashing, And that's been Chris Cuomo's entire life. And like I said, I don't see this as like a victory for Chris Cuomo, like turning the other way and be like, oh, I finally learned, I have reborn. Like, no, it seems like he's jealous that News Nation didn't get a booth, and he sent his producers up there and thought, oh my God, why can't we have, this kind of luxury? We're a rich corporate stooge network. And he's just decided, well, if I can't join them, then I'll beat them. And that's where I feel like that's where it came from. Because obviously he's not going to tell you the full story. Obviously he's not going to tell you that his entire career, the reason that he's in media is because he was a stooge. They're never going to tell you that. And that that's Chris Cuomo for you. At last resort, he'll finally cave to actually revealing a bit of truth, but not too much truth, because then it would reveal how much of a schmuck he really is.